Howdy guys, Rex here. Today I'm going to share with you 3 points that I learned from an old Special Forces team sergeant. Sergeant Scott gave me permission to use this experience and story to share with you guys. That really helped me and I think could save your life. Now, if you're familiar with some of these guys, Sergeant Scott was a 18 Bravo, he was a Fox for a while, and an Echo, and now he's training Tier 1 units all over the world in various different disciplines. But if you've ever taken a class like how to chop down an oak tree with the toenail clippers, that was Sergeant Scott. And I'm sure any of you guys who are in Tier 1 units who's taken his class after you've gotten to a certain point know who I'm talking about. Now, there's something that's important to realize is that you can encapsulate so much information and wisdom and knowledge in an experience, a lot more than a bullet point list or a manual. So like having an experience about something, it's there forever. You'll remember it for 60 years without any kind of notes. And that's how he packages a lot of information, is experiential information, right? You can compress, systematic methodologies into real life experiences that you share that are unique to you that you will remember forever. And here's the 3 things he shared with me, okay, and taught me. Number 1, and there's things attached to these, so hang with me. I will decrypt. Number 1, never, ever, ever, ever try to eat a plate of lasagna while driving down the road, okay? Started off as a joke, just being silly, but there's a huge lesson attached to that, okay? But don't do it, okay? Remember that. Never, ever eat a pan of lasagna or a plate of, especially not a pan, but like a plate of lasagna with a fork while trying to drive a car. Not a good plan. Number 2, if you're sitting there watching Major Payne one night, chilling like a villain, laughing at the movie, and you got the windows open, and you got a big pan of blueberry fluff that your buddy's wife made for you guys, and there's tin foil over the top of it, sitting there preserving it, and all of a sudden it moves and flies off the table. No need to get excited right away. It's not necessarily the ghost of blueberry fluff that just frickin' came into your kitchen. It could have been the wind or something like that. That's lesson number 2. And then lesson number 3 is, what is up with Americans, this new generation that doesn't understand the concept of a canteen cup? You must have a canteen cup. If you don't have one, you're not even an American, okay? All right, now hang with me. We'll decrypt. So what we have here is a huge amount of information being portrayed in experiential stories that I've experienced that are funny, and so I can remember. The lasagna. Never eat lasagna while driving a car. Let's tell a story about that. Let's say that you are a super tactical ninja commando who's spent his entire life training to 80,000 rounds a month with his 1911 upside down, hanging there while lifting weights, and he can fly Cobra attack helicopters upside down, and then when the Russians come, he can shoot through the windshield of his helicopter with a missile launcher and shoot him right in the face, and then he can land, and like Chuck Norris, he can while he's doing karate moves, doing roundhouse kicks to some dude's face, he's building a shape charge out of bubble gum and some household materials and a popsicle stick. And say you got all that down. You are the ninja master. You are commando. You are Rambo. And he built all these skills. And there's no doubt that you could take out an entire battalion of Russians by yourself. But one day, you decide, I'm just going to save a little bit of time, and I'm going to drive down the road and eat lasagna, and you freaking hit a hairpin turn, and you're looking down, trying to find the plastic fork that you broke in half, and you ramp off a cliff, and that's what they put on your tombstone. Rambo, killed by eating lasagna while driving. A threat matrix. You have to have a systemized methodology to create an organized threat matrix so you can analyze what truly are really threats in your life, in your situation, in your AL, in your area, in the mission, in the idea, in what direction you're going to move, in what direction you're not going to move. You have to assess systematically those threats. Because if you don't, dumb shit like that will kill you. Now, statistically speaking, even during the Vietnam War, the Afghanistan War, the Iraq War, you're more likely to die going to college than you are being a soldier in the war. Why? Because stupid shit happens every day that'll kill you if you don't do it carefully. And entities like the Army or the Marine Corps, the military, used threat matrices or matrices to plot out stuff that they don't allow guys to do. That's why they have so many rules. That's why they yell at you for keeping your bootlaces tucked in. Let's say one day you're like navigating like in the dark, right? And all of a sudden like, I don't pay attention to my threat matrix of tripping over my shoelace in the dark and falling off a 700-foot cliff and dying. So I'm going to just like disregard these orders that were given to me on the policy to tuck in your bootlaces in your boot. They're not doing that just to be obnoxious. They're doing it because you will freaking die if you don't tuck in your bootlaces. Or get snagged on something when you're trying to run through barbed wire and you trip into the barbed wire or the razor wire, and all of a sudden like all the dudes behind you are like tripping over you and they all get mowed down by a machine gun. How about them apples? Because you didn't tie your damn bootlace properly and tuck it in. Details, threat matrix. Like you gotta hammer it out and you gotta find out, okay, what am I gonna do? Like, okay, here's a policy. The driver only drives. Okay, and if he has to talk on the phone while driving, have one of these, what do you call them? This deal right here. So you can have it like secured so that it's hands-free. You can keep your eyes on your main task at hand. That's just an example. There's a million things that could be, right? All right. Number 2, the ghost of the blueberry fluff, right? So you're sitting there and all of a sudden the tinfoil comes off of one of your things because the wind came in through the window, but you thought there was some other shit going on. And now you twist it around on the couch to look behind you going, what the hell was that? And then, first of all, your stress went up. Now you're not going to sleep that night. Okay, which could, in butterfly effect terms, relate to like the next day you're tired because you threw your back out and your adrenaline went up right before bed while you're watching Major Pain because you got excited because the freaking tinfoil wrapper came off because the wind came in through the window. And now you're tired, so on the next day you're out there and you're walking and you trip over a twig because you don't got 100% like operational capacity. You're not firing on all 8 cylinders because of a lack of sleep, and now you fall off a cliff and die. Same thing, right? So, don't react or make a move unless it's calculated. And like apex creatures, apex predators, wolves, grizzly bears, Bengal tigers, John Wayne, etc., in real life, always have to make the most calculated move. They cannot expend energy without being exactly precise because they can't afford to miss. In the wild, if you watch a tiger about to pounce on like a dick or a muntjac or some kind of little small animal, it'll like adjust its butt, it'll get its claws dug in just right, it'll just kind of really look, and it's really looking and it's assessing. It's like a sniper would really check his atmosphere, see what way the wind is blowing, study the wind really good, right? And then look around before he makes his first shot. Because in real life, if you miss, it's not an IPSC target that you can just keep shooting at and expend more energy. In real life, if you miss, that sucker's going to start launching mortar rounds back at you and it's going to suck, right? Same is true with anything. A great white shark makes incredibly calculated moves to make sure that whatever energy expenditure it does is not in vain and it doesn't lose an opportunity to actually catch the seal and have a meal, right? Okay? Because there's a lot of things that can happen in real life that you can't afford. Even the way animals walk. Walking down the trail with Sergeant Scott, right? In the woods. And he's like, dude, check out tracks. Like, just look at animals' tracks. A wolf will walk completely different than a domesticated dog, even a really tough dog like a German Shepherd or whatever. They walk different. They place their feet differently. And you can tell if it's a wolf, a wild animal, that does killing as its job, 100% of the time, or if it just kind of does its job as a hobby. Those subtle details are cumulative and they add up. It's all risk assessment. They created a threat matrix in the back of their mind, and they're only investing their energy into moves that they know are safe. Just like indigenous people will walk throughout the world. Like if you're walking in the forest in the dark, you ever notice how you don't just like step down with your heel and then go full bore? You use your tippy toes to kind of feel around as you're stepping down in the complete darkness, so you don't like twist your ankle. Now in America, you can twist your ankle and call the hospital on your cell phone and you're probably fine. In the bush, you can't do that because you will die. You just, all of a sudden, you can't move. Eventually, a move like that will kill you. So just exactly how you step and walk, exactly where you put your feet is all super important in the bush when there's not the guarantee of resupply, okay, coming or help or support, right? And so those details are important. So energy expenditure is always way more calculated by apex predators than any other critter in the world because they can't afford to make a mistake. Especially think about like big moves in life, or like the movements that an army makes have to be very calculated because you can't afford to move like an entire like division of tanks across the ocean to a certain area if you're not damn sure you need them there, because to move it back is like a huge deal, right? You get the point? Okay. Number 3, Canteen Cup. We're so disconnected from nature and reality these days in this generation that we have now that we don't understand what's actually important. We play so much Nintendo, watch so many movies, and think we have an experience in our brain based on what we saw on TV that like you're more worried about what color the scope knobs are going to be on your turrets or what style, whatever you're going to do. Now, equipment selection is important. However, the Canteen Cup concept is that there are a certain amount of C's that you need to not die, okay? And you need a container. And if you don't know what a Canteen Cup is, that's because you've never been in a position to know that you have to have one to live. Now, I'm just a guitar player, but I know all about Canteen Cups. They gave it, that was part of our TA50 back in the day, but also, like when I was playing guitar on the beach for food, which I did because I lived out in the bush for a while on the beach, a very, very easy environment to survive on. I wasn't begging, I was trading. I was trading guitar playing for wine. Good thing I had my Canteen Cup there, see? And in the wild, you have to have something like that to cover your bases. So like you can have like the top awesome infrared like tracking, whatever the hell, like the propeller on the head that turns or the blinking light and all that stuff. But if you don't have basics like something to hold water in or food or to cook with, you ain't gonna make it that far. A lot of courses we do where we have the reality drill and we'll take dudes on a walk and be like, Rex, how much ammo do I need? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. This is a drill, which is reality. Our primary objective is to get up that hill, kill some stuff, probably the bad guys, right? And then I don't know where are we going after that. I don't know. How much water should it bring? I'm like, you tell me. This is the part where we all learn experientially. I could tell you the answer, but then you won't remember it. So experiential. Do I need plates? I don't know. Tell me. I don't know how in shape you are. Like, I don't know, like, this is stuff we all have to experience. And so you get halfway up the hill, and 50% of the guys run out of water. That sucks, and it's only like a one-click march up a small mountain, right? Just a small mountain. And, like, you'll begin, all of a sudden, when you come back down off that mountain, and you almost died from frickin' dehydration and heat stroke, you'll remember, okay, I'm going to run out of water, so I'm going to need water filtration. You will never, ever forget it again once you've been really thirsty. So that makes the point. Canteen Cup concept, very important. Like, people miss out on the base logistics, the base things they need to live. And there's reasons why the manuals and stuff are, and the bullet points are arranged the way they are. It's because it's based on other people's experiences. Most of those rules were written in blood, sweat, and tears. Okay? So it's always good to learn from our elders or from our mentors. But in all reality, even our elders and mentors sometimes, like, we don't really get it until we wrestle with it. Once we wrestle with it, now we understand, okay? So, as a review, you need to create a systemized threat matrix so you don't get killed by stupid shit, okay? That is the don't eat lasagna while driving down the road. That should have been on your chart of different things to say, like, okay, minefields. Am I likely to die in a minefield? Okay, yes. How much? This much. Am I likely to get shot? Okay, how about enemy aircraft, right? How about tripping over my shoelaces or eating a frickin' plate of lasagna while driving through the mountains? You're going to die from that that's more likely to kill you, right? It's like General George Patton. How did he die? Did he die in a glorious tank battle? No. He died from, well, that's controversial. Nobody exactly knows. But supposedly he died in an accidental car crash, right? So that's important. Lasagna, okay? Number 2, the ghost of blueberry fluff. If the wind comes in through the window, or if the 11 o'clock siren comes on, like it did a minute ago when I was parked out here, all of a sudden the 11 o'clock siren turns on, I'm just like, ah! For a minute there, like, my stress went up. Cortisol goes up. Imagine if I would, like, this 11 o'clock siren comes off, and before making a calculated move based on, like, properly analyzing intelligence and, like, thinking is so important before you make a move. So many people get killed trying to cross danger areas because they didn't look at it long enough with binoculars first, right? But, like, the 11 o'clock siren goes off, Rex tears off his shirt, runs immediately and dives into a culvert because I'm picturing, like, SS-18 multiple entry vehicles coming in through the atmosphere, like gonna frickin' just barbecue everything in town, and I need to get like 4 feet of dirt over the top of me so the gamma rays don't kill me if the bomb's far enough away. Okay, so I expended all that energy, and now I cut myself on the culvert and died from an infection or broke my neck scrambling to get out of the blast zone that wasn't there because it was a frickin' siren. So basically, simmer down, calm down, analyze everything. It's not always the boogeyman. Calculate every move. That's the smart thing to do. Very, very important concept. And Canteen Cup, you need to have the experience. You need to, like, you can't just buy kit and sit on it. You have to wrestle with it. You're not going to learn how to use a particular radio without actually using the radio. Like, I got a bunch of new comm equipment because I got fancy stuff nowadays that's pretty cheap that works really good. And, like, if it's sitting in the box, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. It's like if I bought a guitar and never played it, right? Or a surfboard. Like a 5-fin, like 8-foot, like 6-inch surfboard with the certain kind of carved by the certain, like, ninja boogie board guy, or I don't know what the hell. I'm not all of a sudden like the prime surfer of the world. You have to actually surf to learn how to surf, right? Just because Charlie doesn't surf doesn't mean you should not learn how to surf as well. You always want to have overwhelming skill, potential, knowledge, because, like, when we make that calculated move, like a Bengal tiger ready to pounce on a mouse or whatever the game is, and yeah, they do eat very small animals most of the time, like, you need to have the experience to be able to have the confidence to execute and precisely make those moves. You can't make a precise move based on a threat matrix if you don't have experience, right? So experience is king. And you don't even know what to put on your threat matrix if you hadn't wrestled with that stuff before or haven't seen a bunch of people get killed by dumb shit, okay? Once you've seen enough stupid things happen in life, all of a sudden you start to tighten up things that you never really even realized were there. So that's, I hope, the helpful thing that I've shared with you for today. Actually, very, very, very helpful. There's a lot of other things as well. If you want to take it even to the max, what direction is your life pointed? Right? Talking about calculated moves that have huge investments, like eternally. What direction is your life pointed? And where are you going to go with that? So I think that's very important to calculate as well. And just make sure that whatever you're going to do, you're not making a silly move because we bullshitted ourselves into thinking we knew what we're doing when we weren't. So that's what I learned.